Hi, I'm an old guy and I do maths, and here we are looking at the derivatives of trig functions. Now, I've started with the most common ones, and I've placed them, I think, in order of commonality, if you if you will. So the really common ones are when you're asked to find the derivative of a sine or a cosine. The derivative of a sine is a cosine. So derivative of sine x is cos x. The derivative of cos x is negative sine x. This is where it gets exciting. The derivative of the tangent of x is a thing called sec squared x. Now, sec is short for secant. There is a separate video or videos in the trigonometry playlist on what secants are. You'll notice that these are not squared. This, however, does change to a negative. The square here is simply a function of working out the derivative of this using sine and cosine and first principles. So I think that might be ripe ground for a video at some stage. But simply put, the tangent of x is sec squared x. Now there are some other trig ratios that that don't come up very often, and we might as well have a look at them and get them out of the way. So here we are. Cotangent of x has a derivative of negative cosec squared x. Right, so that's a cosecant. And it's squared for a similar reason to this. It's the working to do with figuring out by first principles. If you decide that you want to find the derivative of secant, the answer is that it's sec x times tan x. And the derivative of a cosecant is negative cosec x times cotangent x. So let's have a further look before I finish this video at what these sort of rarer trig ratios actually are. And here we are. I think I've got that all in frame. Now the one you're going to see most often, because it relates to the derivative of a tangent, which will be far more common certainly in high school than dealing with these, is a secant. Now a secant is 1 over a cosine. It's the inverse of a cosine. And in terms of a trig ratio on a triangle, it's the hypotenuse over the adjacent. Rather than the adjacent over the hypotenuse, it's the reverse of that. A cosecant is 1 over the sine, and it is the hypotenuse over the opposite for that reason. A cotangent is 1 over a tangent and can also be written as cos x over sine x rather than sine x over cos x, which you would be familiar with if you've done any circular trigonometry. You should be aware that a tangent is equal to a sine over a cosine, which is again one of the reasons why this and this wind up with the curious looking little 2 here, the squared here, because in fact when you work these out you don't work with a tangent or a cotangent, but you work with the ratio of cos x over sine x or sine x over cos x. Anyway, the purpose of this video is merely to acquaint you with the existence of these derivatives and give you the option of learning them. As the playlist expands, there will be more fulsome explanations of these. Anyway, this is a start. You've now seen the main trig ratios and their derivatives. I hope that was interesting and useful. If it was, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.